The natural question might be, what was in Florence before the Northampton Association came together, and why did they actually come to this spot as opposed to any other? Remember, there was this depression in 1837, so people were looking around for a way to make a living. And so what happened was, around 1835-36, there was founded here in Florence the Northampton Silk Company. And right at this spot where we are now, and this is really the important feature on the Mill River that brought people here. Here is where the 28-foot drop was in the river, where they could get the water privilege, it was called. And this was really the most valuable part, when you think about it, of the land up here in Florence, was the drop in the river at that point where they could get power to drive mills up here. So the very first, and this was known, way back, and so the earliest one was Josiah White's oil mill, which we have a picture of here thanks to Charles Sheffeld's History of Florence. This is an illustration, and we're right at this site right now. And this is an important site through the years in Florence. And early on, the farmers in the valley up here would bring their linseed for expressing up here at the linseed oil mill of Josiah White. Samuel Whitmarsh bought a lot of the land up here, close to 400 acres he put together up here, including this oil mill. And he converted the oil mill to the production of silk. And his vision was to grow silk, grow the actual mulberry trees that the silkworms would be fed, the leaves that would be fed to the worms, and grow silk from scratch. This later on proved to be part of the undoing of the association. Doing that, growing the mulberry trees, feeding the silkworms, was almost like a distraction from the real profit-making part of the silk, which was actually making the silk thread. But that was his vision, and here he planted mulberry trees all over the place. And at the time, as they're coming out of the Depression, people were trying to make money any way they could, and they speculated in these mulberry trees. The price of a mulberry tree went through the roof. And in 1839, all of that came collapsing down. So this property that Whitmarsh had put so much money into came on the market for like $20,000 or $30,000. And the people down there in Brooklyn, Connecticut, in the northeastern section of Connecticut, where the abolitionists had become aware of each other, Samuel Hill, George W. Benson, and others, heard about this incredibly rich source of income up here in Northampton. And so they came up here and bought up the property at cheap from the now bankrupt silk company.